Have fun with Daddy, okay?
Okay, well, I don't quite have the best luck with vehicles because this guy, the other clutch line broke this morning, the other brake line broke this morning, and I knew I should have replaced both of them while I was doing the one, but I didn't listen to myself. I was already planning on doing this weekend, so now I just really have to get it done. Why am I blanking on that name? Oh, there's people walking. I get nervous about filming in front of people. So we're just gonna casually hang out and wait a minute. As you guys know, the clutch has been making a really weird sound. I think it's just a shitty cheap throwout bearing that's making that noise, because it is an eBay clutch that's in it. So I decided if I'm gonna do this, I'm going to just do it all. If I'm going that far to going back into the trans, we're just gonna redo all of it. So I have a brand new XD clutch in there, and we are going to use, wow, my garage is filthy, the flywheel right here that's brand new with a good throwout bearing. So we need to get that done so I don't have to listen to the grinding anymore. And we have an OBD1 harness, or an OBD1 ECU that we'll be throwing in it as well. So then the car will idle, and then we should be able to start driving this thing. Although it's a little chilly today. All right. So just like last time, we're going to start with the top side first, getting the intake off, bell housing bolts, wiring harness, exhaust manifold, get all that off, dropped out of the way. From there, we get the car up in the air, pull wheels, knuckles, axles, and then trans mount, lower bolts, and then trans should come out. I'm going to try to get this whole thing done on a day. I now have plenty of time, so I'm not going to rush with it. I do want to get it done sooner rather than later. And then the OBD1 harness, the OBD1 jumper harness should be in Saturday. Today's Thursday. So hopefully by then everything will be ready to go. And then all I got to do is just plug that in, move those few pins, and then we should be ready to rock and roll and start driving this thing. I'm also thinking about wrapping this car as opposed to getting it painted, because I've never wrapped anything before and I'd kind of like to try it. And don't get me wrong, it needs a little bit of body work. I might just let it ride because, 90s Honda. But all in all, the body's pretty straight. So I'm really thinking about doing that. Let me know what you guys think down below. Should I wrap it? I think I am. I'll definitely need to sand this area down and fix this whole section right here. But other than that, it's not bad, and I'll need a new driver fender. But the paint, what's ironic is that the most damaged fender is the cleanest one in terms of paint and everything. I love having him out here, because he just does his thing. He's happy as can be to be out here, just like me. He'll sometimes come tune in with the cars, or he'll go do his own thing, and he stays in the yard and he does good. And I'm really proud of that boy. I love him. His starter is now out, and we should have pretty much everything off. Let's see, where can I put this? It's gonna go right there. Up top, that needs to come off. Make sure nothing's connected to the transmission. Oh, we got this guy right there to take off. But that should be this plug right here. So if you ever need to break something loose in here and you can't get anything to stay shut, what I like to do is I'll take a wrench of some sort and wedge it in like that, and then when you put force on loosening this, it'll act as a stopper, so that way you can get your stuff off without having any sort of problems. You really want to do something kind of like that right there. That right there is what you want. Alright, so a little update. Me and little man have been rocking and rolling. We have pretty much everything done. Trans is dropped, axles are pulled, knuckles all torn apart, obviously with the axles out, but manifold's dropped. All that is left is bell housing bolts and shift linkage and the T-bracket in the rear, and then the 2 trans mounts right here. Once we get those done, trans will be out, and then we can get this clutch done. Oh, also, it's only 9 o'clock, so 55 minutes, and we have it ready to be pulled out. So that's pretty cool. Also, definitely gonna have to drop this car down some more. Just with that weight on the rear. Ooh. That's exactly where I want her to sit. All right, so we've had a little bit of a holdup, and neither of which are gonna be what you think they are. The first is his lawnmower ran out of bubble gas, so we had to get more bubbles, naturally. And then number 2 is I have this cheapo jack right here that I bought for the first time doing this clutch job, and I ended up not needing it because Ronnie was here. But we don't have a Ronnie this time. So I need to find the handle for it, and I have been searching for the past like 20-30 minutes in this mess of a garage, and I cannot find it anywhere. Little man just hanging out. Trans is out, so now we can get this clutch out, take a look, see if there's any damage, and if so, what it is. And hopefully it's just a damaged flywheel that was causing those issues. Hopefully. But we shall see. Alright, so we got the clutch pressure plate and flywheel off, and at face value it looks okay, pretty dirty. But I noticed the pilot bearing, it feels like it moves. Why don't I feel it now? Oh yeah, there it is. There's like right here, I know you're not gonna see it or feel it or anything, but it doesn't feel very like smooth, if that makes sense. So we got that, but other than that, I'm not seeing much issues. So one thing I just noticed is my clutch fork, I just popped it into place, but it wasn't in that retaining clip. It was sitting right on top of it. So I don't know if that popped out while removing the trans, or if that might have been the issue, is this wasn't seated properly back here in the little like dowel right there. If it wasn't seated properly, and it was causing this to push on the pressure plate, which is what was making the grinding sound. That's the best guess that I got. Y'all, if you are ever in a bind with getting your rear main seal in, I have learned a trick that makes life way easier. But before we get into that, I also want to show that the previous owner, this is the new one, okay? But if you compare the last clip to this clip, they never set the rear main all the way whenever they replaced it. So that's why it was pissing oil out of there, because it was the whole time not seated all the way. But I've learned, if you have a child or a Hot Wheels hobby, a Hot Wheels car and a soft blow mallet works really well for tapping that thing in all the way around. And it worked out concerningly well. So now that that's in, we can start getting the rest of the everything else back in and keep on getting it. Although I did definitely forget to get more, I got sidetracked. I did definitely forget to get more trans fluid for the Civic while I was out, so I am gonna have to run back out later to get that, which is unfortunate. But other than that, been rocking and rolling. All right, new pilot bearing is in, seated all the way, and it already feels completely different than this guy over here. This one, it feels like a little more restricted, almost. Like there's a bit of resistance to it. Not much, but I can at least like feel a difference. So that makes me feel better. I'm thinking the grinding sound was either the flywheel just being cooked and I just don't see it, the pilot bearing making noise, or the throwout bearing not being fully on that little pivot point that I was showing you earlier. So yeah, I mean, I'm guessing it's one of those three. We won't really know until we put the car back together and the sound goes away. But we getting there. We getting there. So much for it's not supposed to rain today, and it was just gonna be cloudy. I was telling Kayla, I noticed every time that the Evo brakes, both the transfer case, the alternator, and then both brake lines, every time it has been cloudy and gloomy outside. And it hasn't changed today. It seems to be a trend with that car. I think they gotta go hand in hand somehow. You know, I really do just have the best of luck. As soon as I put the flywheel on and I go to torque it down, it starts raining. It's still raining, but it has rained, drizzled, just enough to get everything soaking wet while I have the flywheel exposed. Just to show you guys what I got real quick, here's the Exity pressure plate. Nothing too fancy. And same with the clutch. It's just an OEM replacement. Nothing crazy, nothing special. Just something to get the car going reliably. Boop. Now, probably not going to film this next part because I need to hurry up and get this in and get threads started because I need to go wake Grayson up here in a minute. And I would like to get this just started before he gets back out here since I don't want a chance dropping it, so. I wasn't recording the whole time. I did the whole like thing to where it's like you film and then you pop the thing out and all that, but we're all done. Well, we're not all done, but like the clutch is on. The clutch, pressure plate, flywheel, all of that is on and torqued and ready for the trains to go back on. So now it's just a matter of putting everything back together, but we got to wake up the booger man first. And hopefully we can have this thing done here shortly. If it doesn't, for whatever reason, fix the sound, I'm going to absolutely crash out. It should though, because when you push the clutch in, the sound goes away. So it's not anything like internal in the trans or anything like that. So, right? Yeah. We should be good. We should be good. We're gonna find out. Fingers crossed. And hopefully no more rear main seal leak. Okay. After way too much fighting and my back being soaked and my batushka being soaked as well, we have a transmission mounted up, we have a transmission mounted up to the motor. We are good. See, like my big helper doing his thing. And like as soon, it was literally like the gates of heaven opened up. Because as soon as the transmission actually like mounted and seated into the onto the motor, as soon as that happened, the damn sun came out. And I was like, oh, hallelujah. I about said a prayer right there. It was kind of funny. I was under the car, like, fighting the transmission, and he comes and he, like, sits on my leg, and he's, Daddy! And I looked over, and I was like, yeah, buddy. And he went, boat. Yeah. Just like that. And honestly, I needed it because it made me laugh and it made me feel better. Because I was getting very frustrated. You say bolt? Yeah. Tell him. Alrighty, we have been rolling on this thing. Pretty much everything is back together. I'm tightening up the manifold now. We need to still plug in some harness things, intake, and getting the front axles back in and getting the whole steering ship back together. But we are very close. Very, very close. And the sun's out, and it's staying out. And it's so nice. It picked up like 10 degrees, like that. Are you putting it back together for me? Oh wait, you're not supposed to have a screwdriver. All right, I believe we have everything back together. It is now for the moment of truth. Here we see if this works. Okay. All of that was for nothing. All of that was for nothing. I think the trains was just shot. There's something funky in there. I don't know. So I just disconnected the slave to see if even if I throw this off, what happens. And yeah, it's something internal in the trans. So we're just gonna send it until it blows. You know, although that didn't fix the issue, at least now I know I can do a Honda clutch in a day. Fuck. It looks like we now need a third radiator. So much for trying to keep the coolant. All right, let me show you guys what we got cooking down here. Oh my. Oh. So as you can see, the tow hook bent up, kicked over, and hit this lower radiator mount. So we need to bend this back down and out of the way, maybe just unbolt it altogether, and then bend this back down. Then we can get our new radiator in. I don't see anything on the bottom, surprisingly, where there's any sort of crack. Unless maybe it's somewhere like on this guy itself somewhere that I'm not seeing. But the top is definitely done. And then in here is filled, so it probably broke internally in there somewhere. Well, I see some drippage over here. Could just be excess. regardless, it is what it is. That one's done. This one's good. This is what's going in. We need to get that right there taken care of. And just like that, we are ready for the new radiator. Clean all this stuff out real quick. No touch. Grayson. Well, while we're here, we may as well plumb up the IAC valve again, since we're gonna have it working. Obviously, you see this one goes right here. And then once I get that one on, I will be able to show you where that goes, because I don't know off the top of my head. And then once that is done, then we can start bleeding the coolant system. And then we wait for the OBD1 jumper harness to get here, which should be here tomorrow. And then we can get that in. And then finally, have this thing idling and running good. Minus the trans, making some noise. But that's minor details. Alright, so if you look right here, on the bottom of the throttle body, that right here that this line is going to, that's your FITV. That's what it stands for. And it goes to a fitting on the back of the barb that goes across underneath the intake. And it's got a little nipple on there. Well, that nipple is what's supposed to connect to the idle air control valve. But instead, the previous owner routed it over to here. So what we need to do is take this line off, and we're going to use this for the second port on the idle air control valve. And then we're going to take some extra vacuum line and this guy, or coolant line, and this guy is supposed to go to that nipple right here on the intake manifold. So we'll also be getting the whole coolant diagram fixed as well. So that'll be cool. See if we can do this one-handed. Clutch is so light. Train's just so loud. But other than that, everything feels pretty good. Well, there's not really much of a point of me doing an outro now, is there? Because we still got to do the OBD1 swap tomorrow. And then that should fix our little bits of hiccups and it fuel dumping. I was thinking about it, and I think part of the reason why it's fuel dumping so bad is with the Z6 manifold still being on an OBD2 ECU is it's fuel dump. It's okay, hold on. English, it makes sense in my head, but I don't always do good going from mouth, brain, back and forth. So the OBD2 ECUs go into a fuel safe map if it detects too much air, to where it basically just dumps massive amounts of fuel into the system. I recently learned this. So I think because it's seeing that more of an air intake volume with the actual intake manifold being different, that's what's causing it, basically. So when we switch to the OBD1 ECU, it'll hopefully alleviate that problem as well. So we're going to be moving Grayson's car seat from the Evo to the Civic because we're all going to take a trip out to Target here in a minute. And since we're going there, I want to bring a tape measure so that way we are on level ground and I can measure each corner of the car and see just how much I want to lower each side of it. So I could drop it down some and do the suspension things. So try to kill two birds with one stone, you know? I also really need to swap that steering wheel out. Kind of want to do that real quick. I think I'm just going to put the 240 steering wheel in here for now. Alrighty, just like that, no more ricer wheel. Still have the pink hub, but I don't mind that one. You know, just because it's a gloomy day does not mean we are going to have gloomy vibes, because we took the Civic out all morning this morning. I went out and drove for like an hour this morning at like 6 in the morning to go and test everything out, and it felt great. And then we went on a Target run and we got some car parts and we got all sorts of things in the Civic, and it did great. Let me make sure it's not blurry. It's not. One thing I am glad the previous owner did, they put these coilover sleeves on to keep everything nice and clean, so it'll make it easy for me to adjust it at least. Mine's off. Nice. Oh, that's loose. That's cool. Oh, so is that. That's nice. That's cool. So I'm just gonna take measurements. The measurements that I took pictures of, I'm gonna go and mark it on the strut right here. Bring it up, raise or drop it down, and then we'll take a look at what goes into adjusting the spring rate. I wish there was a way. I need to look these up and see how to adjust dampening on these, because I think adjusting dampening would help more than the springs themselves. They're not like loose in there or anything, so I don't think it would be very beneficial. I'd rather adjust dampening, so let me actually look into that now that I see which kind of coilovers they put on here. Okay, so I have good news and I have bad news. The good news, I need to get this plugged up for Kayla because she wants to clean her car, so I need to get the battery charging. Good news is coilover adjustment's gonna go quicker than originally anticipated. Bad news is it's because adjusting spring rate isn't gonna help really anything with the bounciness, and there's no dampening adjustment. They're supposed to become pre-dampened and to be like perfect and ideal. And these are expensive coilovers, so I'm surprised that that's one of the things they rep on. And I was looking up people's reviews and stuff, and pretty much everyone is saying that Skunk 2 coilovers are just bouncy as hell, and there's not much you can do about it. So we're just gonna let it ride. It is what it is, and we're just gonna worry about adjusting the height itself of the car. So with that, we at least have a fully threaded shock body. So as I said, we can just throw a mark, pull this up, and then twist the shock body itself down to the desired height. We'll bring this wheel up, and then we are done. All right, so as you see, we have our markup, 1.5 inches. I should have put a picture of my reference before to where it'll just barely tuck the tire. And as you see, we've got quite a ways to go. Get the hand. And that's from the top of this guy, this lock collar. So we'll go up to about there. Boom. And then we should be able to just lock onto this guy right here, spin, and it'll spin this whole guy down. And just like that, we got everything adjusted and tightened down. Hopefully that doesn't make it too low. It should just be a 1-to-1 ratio. You know, you want it to drop 1.5 inches, you drop this side 1.5 inches. But you don't realize how much 1 inch can change things. Kayla's right here, so I'm looking at her. 1 inch is a lot, I think. Wouldn't you guys agree? That 1 inch sure is a lot. All right, now we're on to the rear. This one, it's only gonna be 1.25 inches. I could go significantly lower, and I still might down the road, but I don't know how the front's gonna do on full lock or like just regular everyday driving, and I don't really want to roll the dice considering I will be driving this quite far every day and I want it to still be comfortable and easy. So we're gonna do this one at 1.25 inches, and that'll put us just below the tire to where we're tucking just the tiniest bit. All right, so I did the driver's side and I wanted to pull it up to flat ground just to see. And my rears, I mean, it is tight right there. So I think I'm gonna have to raise it up a little bit more because I don't feel like dealing with the camber and alignment and everything in between. Well, I guess I probably could. I don't know. What do you guys think? I might just have to raise it up for the time being, but it definitely looks better. The front surprisingly wasn't rubbing at all, but I still might raise it up some. Just a little bit, just to get it more daily driver friendly. But man, that looks good. Yeah, I definitely think I'm gonna have to raise it up a little bit. I think it's just a little too low for my liking. So I'm gonna go back up another like 1/2 inch, and then we will be good. That was Turk's awesome. Yeah, because I think what I want to do is have it, I did it flush with this like line right here was my measurement. So I think I'm gonna bring it up to like where the tread starts. So it starts folding back. It'll make it a little bit easier and it'll still be good fitment. It'll still look good, but just to give me that little bit more clearance, especially because the roads up north get so bumpy and everything. And I mean, holy shit, I didn't realize just how low that flap right there was. I'm gonna have to take that out too, because that's gonna, it's foldable, but we'll see. All right, let's get this back down there. It looks like it might storm, so we need to lock in and get this thing taken care of. That's what we were looking for. We still got plenty of clearance. I went full lock both sides, no rubbing. We'll have to give it an actual test drive to see how it does under load. But now we have a little bit more clearance for suspension travel. And just look at that. Just look at that. Much better. Very much better. You know, I feel like there's no better way to test drive a vehicle than throwing the whole family in here and making sure it doesn't rub when we're all in it, since we'll all be riding in it here and there. So, we got the whole family. Look at the booger back there. Ready to go for a ride and see just how bad this thing is. No rubbing full lock, so that's good. Don't forget that the stuff you're hearing right now is the transmission, not rubbing. Oh, dude, we're good. We're golden. Main thing I was concerned with was the bouncing when we got up to speed. So now feeling the bump, that's why I wanted to take Levels Road to see if it rubbed it all during the bouncing. There's nothing. Like, and it bounces a lot. This thing is, I do not like these coilovers. And just like that, we got all 4 corners dialed in. And it looks so much better. And still not too low to where it's undrivable or anything. Oh, I'm so happy with that. The solution to all of our issues, sort of. And the ECU over there. But for those who don't know, when you are going from OBD2 to OBD1, we need to find the B port and we have to repin the IAC valve. So I need to get this apart and then get this guy out, and then we can go and search for that guy. So we have just discovered something really funny. As I'm tearing into this, I noticed that out of my ECU pin or ECU connector A, this guy is undone. And I go and I look up the ECU pin out, and that's for my brake light switch. And Kayla just looked for me as I turned the key on and hit the brakes. Oh wait, I had the ECU unplugged, of course it wasn't gonna turn on. Are you on them? Really? Turn the headlights on real quick. Turn the headlights on. Now hit them. Okay. So we were correct. Oh, you can turn it off now. We have had no brakes this whole time, or no brake lights. You look, that guy is undone. So this whole time we were driving around with no rear brakes. So that's something else we gotta fix. All right, so just so you guys can see, before I go and actually do it, this blue and black wire right here, that pin that it's in right now, it needs to get moved to this pin right under the orange wire, right there. I'm sorry if it's shaky. Grayson doesn't know this thing called personal space, and he wants to keep kicking my damn arm. That one has been moved. This one has also been removed. In order to do that, all you have to do is pop this little white clip back, and then you go into here and you pop, I don't know if you can see inside of there, there's a little tab that you go in. I used a little cotter pin and it worked out fine. Use that to pull that little tab away from the pin, and then you can pull it right out. Now my phone is about to die, so I'm gonna plug that in for a little bit while I finish this up, and then I'll be back with you guys when everything is installed and back together. We have everything done. It's repinned. Adapter is plugged in. Okay, so in theory, when I started, because I have the throttle cable pulled in order to allow it to idle, it should start revving up, because now it should idle by itself. So before I touch anything in the engine bay, we're gonna start it and see what happens with that. Hopefully we'll get lucky. Now all will be good. Well, that's a good sign. So that means we can finally loosen the throttle cable. Watch out, stinky boy. Beep, 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 beep. And get that good, because that just confirmed that the IAC is now working. Alrighty, we now have a fully loose throttle cable where we have plenty of slack. It's not pulling on the throttle body any. Now let's see if we have an idle now. Right now motor's cold. It's doing the idle up like it should. Quickly going down once it's seeing the coolant. It's still a little warm from driving earlier. I still smell fuel. So hopefully it's not still running rich and that's just excess that it's getting out, sort of deal. Oh, okay. Jesus. Uh-oh. So that's working, but if I give it any throttle, actually like very light on it. That's weird. Very light throttle, and if I slowly add, I can get a little bit more. Get it to slowly rev up. But as soon as I give it significant throttle, more than barely breathing on it, and it's definitely running smoother. There's no more misfire. Idle's perfect. I just can't give it any throttle. All right. Well, at the end of the day, it was still a successful day. Got a running and driving car that now is sitting how I want it to. It looks good. It runs good, except for the idle. So I'm just going to keep the OBD2 set up for the time being. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And until then, I will see you guys in the next one. Take care.